2 Kings 18, 1 through 37. Devotional focus verse. Who are they among all the gods of the countries that have delivered their country out of mine hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of mine hand? But the people held their peace, and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was, saying, Answer him not. 2 Kings 18, 35 through 36. It was the 1930s, and business trends were still headed downward. There was rumor of upcoming salary cuts at the New York insurance office where a 22-year-old clerk worked. Possessor of a deep, melodious voice, the young man was offered a radio contract. There was an opportunity for fame and great financial gain if he would agree to regular performance on a secular program. George had one request. He was a Christian, and he wanted to glorify God by singing. He asked that he might sing gospel songs. In response, the radio station told him that he must sing the popular music of the day, but could occasionally slip in a gospel tune. The young man had been pondering the matter for several days when he sat down at the piano early one Sunday to rehearse a hymn he was to sing in church. As he played, his mother, who had been earnestly praying for him to be fully consecrated to God's plan for his life, slipped him a piece of paper upon which was written a poem by Rhea Miller called I'd Rather Have Jesus. In a few moments, his fingers unconsciously left the tune he was rehearsing and began to find the melody which is known today to millions. The words hit their mark. The young man turned down the secular contract, and a short time later, he was offered a position with a Chicago radio station where he could sing the gospel songs he loved. While there, he met Billy Graham, and that was the beginning of George Beverly Shea's 60-year association with the Billy Graham Evangelistic Outreach. George Beverly Shea faced a choice about whether to sign an appealing contract or to follow his conscience. In our text, the people of Judah also faced a choice. They were besieged, cut off from food, encompassed by an army, and standing alone in a conquered land. The enemy offered them safety, horses, and land rich with food resources. All they had to do was surrender. How did they respond to this offer? They held their peace and answered him not a word, choosing to follow the instructions of their king and trust in God's promises and obey His will. In our lives, there may be times when we face choices. Maybe we will have opportunities that promise wealth and worldly success like George Beverly Shea. Or we may be offered an enticing alternative to God's will, as were the people of Judah. What will our response be? God has promised us deliverance during trials, guidance throughout our lives, and an eternity with Him in heaven. These are not empty promises. If we choose His will, we will be choosing God's best for our lives. Background information. Hezekiah became Judah's king and reigned for 29 years as the best king Judah had seen or would see. He had previously reigned with his father for 13 years. The phrase, he reigned 20 and 9 years, refers to his reign after his father died, when he immediately began turning the nation back to godly ways. He made the prophet Isaiah a close advisor. As well as destroying the idolatrous forms of worship, Hezekiah stood up to the Assyrians and refused to pay the tribute that his father Ahaz had begun. With Israel gone into captivity, Judah was left alone to face the Assyrians. In 701 BC, King Sennacherib began an invasive march down through western Judah. Assyria's destruction of Lachish, a city 30 miles southwest of Jerusalem, was such an important military success that royal artists carved a relief depicting the victory on the wall of Sennacherib's palace. This relief is one of the most important archaeological finds from the ancient Middle East. Lachish became a staging area for attacking a number of Judah's cities, including Jerusalem itself. After the fall at Lachish, Hezekiah attempted to end the Assyrian threat himself. Instead of turning to Isaiah and ultimately to God for help, he sent tribute to Sennacherib with an apology for his earlier refusal to pay as his father had, taking gold from the temple to facilitate the payment. However, the attempted bribe did not work. Sennacherib took the money and marched toward Jerusalem anyway. The Assyrian commander Rabshakeh stopped at the aqueduct of the upper pool on the road to the fuller's field. This place had significance because it was the exact spot where Isaiah had confronted Ahaz, Hezekiah's father. Ahaz had refused to trust the Lord and had chosen instead to make a treaty with Assyria. Now the Assyrians were ready to invade Jerusalem, and Hezekiah was faced with the same message of deliverance from the same man of God. The ambassadors from Assyria hoped to convince the people of Judah to surrender without fighting. They appealed to Jerusalem, a starving city under siege, by offering food, land, and horses if they would surrender. Rabshakeh accused Hezekiah of offending God by tearing down the altars in the hills. He completely misinterpreted Hezekiah's reform, which sought to eliminate idol worship that occurred mainly in the hills. Sennacherib mocked Judah's king, mocked their God, and even went so far as to say that the very God they served had sent him. He was a master of fighting a war of propaganda, challenging Judah to decide who they were going to trust. Conclusion. All of us are faced with choices. God's best is found in choosing to follow Him and His will for our lives.
Chapter 18. Now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. He removed the high places, and brake the images, and cut down the groves, and brake in pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made. For unto those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it, and he called it Nehushtan. He trusted in the Lord God of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the nations of Judah, nor any that were before him. For he clave to the Lord, and departed not from following him, but kept his commandments, which the Lord commanded Moses. And the Lord was with him, and he prospered whithersoever he went forth. And he rebelled against the king of Assyria, and served him not. He smote the Philistines even unto Gaza, and the borders thereof, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria, and besieged it. And at the end of 3 years they took it, even in the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Israel, Samaria was taken. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria, and put them in Hala, and in Habor, by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant, and all that Moses the servant of the Lord commanded, and would not hear them, nor do them. Now in the 14th year of King Hezekiah did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, come up against all the fenced cities of Judah, and took them. And Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent to the king of Assyria to Lachish, saying, I have offended. Return from me. That which thou puttest on me will I bear. And the king of Assyria appointed unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver, and 30 talents of gold. And Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of the Lord, and in the treasures of the king's house. At that time did Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of the Lord, and from the pillars which Hezekiah king of Judah had overlaid, and gave it to the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria sent Tartan, and Rabsaris, and Rabshakeh from Lachish to King Hezekiah with a great host against Jerusalem. And they went up and came to Jerusalem, and when they were come up, they came and stood by the conduit of the upper pool, which is in the highway of the fuller's field. And when they had called to the king, there came out to them Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder. And Rabshakeh said unto them, Speak ye now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the king of Assyria, What confidence is this wherein thou trustest? Thou sayest, but they are but vain words, I have counsel and strength for the war. Now on whom dost thou trust, that thou rebellest against me? Now behold, thou trustest upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, on which of a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt unto all that trust on him. But if ye say unto me, We trust in the Lord our God, is not that he, whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath taken away, and hath said to Judah and Jerusalem, Ye shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Now therefore, I pray thee, give pledges to my lord the king of Assyria, and I will deliver thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. How then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust in Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? Am I now come up without the Lord against this place to destroy it? The Lord said to me, Go up against this land and destroy it. Then said Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, and Shebna, and Joah unto Rabshakeh, Speak, I pray thee, to thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and talk not with us in the Jews' language in the ears of the people that are on the wall. But Rabshakeh said unto them, Hath my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language, and spake, saying, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus saith the king, Let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you out of his hand. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, The Lord will surely deliver us, and this city shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Hearken not to Hezekiah, for thus saith the king of Assyria, Make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me, and then eat ye every man of his own vine, and every one of his fig tree, and drink ye every one the waters of his cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of oil, olive, and of honey, that ye may live and not die. Hearken not unto Hezekiah when he persuaded you, saying, The Lord will deliver us. Hath any of the gods of the nations delivered at all his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and of Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Eva? Have they delivered Samaria out of mine hand? Who are they among all the gods of the countries that have delivered their country out of mine hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of mine hand? But the people held their peace, and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was, saying, Answer him not. Then came Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh.